Hey, it's Shawn. So I want to be able to kind of try to explain the equipment that you would need in order to get like what hourly rate, okay? Now, this is for me, okay? I want to tell y'all that immediately because, don't just necessarily think this is the going rate, because if you're in a huge city, you got to remember I'm in a tiny little area, okay? If you're in a city, you need to understand that these could go up a lot, okay? I'm going to give you some extremes at what I've heard cranes go for past this, okay? I'm talking, if you haven't heard of what a crane service that removes trees does, or it may be two services, okay? Like a crane and then a tree service, and they can get several times higher than that per hour, okay? So first off, we've talked about this. This is just a truck and then yourself, okay? That's it, at 30 to 60. So whether you've learned, whether you're experienced or whatnot, because that right there is not a bad place to start at all, okay? When you've got a truck and a trailer, just like a utility trailer, you got the plywood on there, whatever your situation is going to be, okay, then I would say you're at 60 plus, because you're going to have a lot of tires you're going to have to deal with. So make sure that, because your expenses are getting on up there. I would not charge less than 60 even if I was working alone. Okay? Now, this is what we use. We use a truck, like I have an F-250. So it's just a 3/4 ton pickup. It's like a 2009 model. I bought it used. Nothing fancy, guys. It was just like a fleet truck, okay? So a truck, dump trailer, and then when I have two guys, I'm looking at 90 plus an hour. And that is so easily attainable that it is not even funny, because a lot of guys do have trucks. You could get a work van. So like I see, like my van was less than $4,000, okay? It's kind of like, I got that out of Atoka because there's a dealer here that sells nothing but just used work trucks. And I mean, he's online and everything. So 90 plus an hour is a good number to shoot for. Then once we are operating this way with a truck, a dump trailer, a bucket truck, and then two guys, we want to be between the 120 and 250, okay? So this being normal, or we may go down to 100, but it depends, okay? And then we might go all the way up to 250 if we're working on top of a roof for insurance and things, okay? We talked about that. Now, a truck, a dump trailer, a bucket truck, and a skid steer with a grapple. And basically, anytime you see something, just instead of a truck, call it a van or an SUV, whatever your case is. A dump trailer could be any size. Mine happens to be 16 feet long with 4-foot sidewalls. It came from Texas Pride, and it's an 8-ton, so 16,000, including the trailer and the payload combined, okay? And if you've got a skid steer with a grapple, or if you've got a backhoe, this could be if you have access to it, if you could rent it. There are so many ways and configurations on this, because I mean, you might just have a towable lift to get that, okay? And if you don't have a bucket truck, or if you want to climb, okay, you may be able to reach these numbers if you climb, but it will be hard, okay? A bucket truck is simply fast. You can really knock these trees out pretty quick. So if you climb, yeah, you're going to rig it down in large pieces. I get that, but it still may not be as quick, okay? And that's going to depend on, you may have to only hire guys with climbing knowledge. Are you really going to want to start out, you're having to learn to climb, or maybe you came from Asplin, maybe you come from whoever, and you already know how to climb, but then that sets your business up differently to do that. Now, it is a lot cheaper because you don't have annual inspections for the trucks, and, because getting into aerial lifts, it's a lot to deal with from OSHA, okay? So I do want to tell y'all that. I don't want y'all to say like, hey, I left y'all in the dark about that. Okay, but the 150 would be extremely low. That would be like no risk at all. Nothing's going to hit a house, a car, a garage, nothing. It's alive. It's not too huge, because I mean, if it's really big, then it's going to wear on your chains faster. It's just going to wear your equipment out. You're going to have to make more dump trailer loads, more trips to go and dump. So the 450, if you haven't seen inside of a tree business yet, that may sound like a lot, but you can get to where with that setup, we actually it would be hard to take 3 guys and get $4.50 an hour. Okay, it depends. Now, if you're in the city, it may not be, but I would consider it more realistic with 4 guys. Okay, because my dad had 2, and then I had me and my other guy. So you're looking at 4 guys total, and on our average days at this equipment setup, we didn't have a skid steer, we just had a backhoe, and it could lift humongous logs. I'm talking, because it's for moving rock. It's like a 100-horse backhoe or something. It's pretty big. It's an extend a hoe and everything. So, and he would do easily $300 an hour to $4.50 an hour. I do remember several jobs where he got like $430 an hour. He got $440 an hour, and that's with everybody being knowledgeable at that point. Okay, everyone knew what was going on. There wasn't teaching involved. Every guy knew his place, and that was also 2 teams. Okay, because obviously, like, if you're doing that much an hour, you are just killing it. You are taking out tree after tree, or you're trimming. Basically, at that rate, that's just a lot of removals. Okay, and then there would be 2 teams. So, like, my dad was always the backhoe driver. I was always the bucket worker, and then we each had a helper, and you could crush out a $2,000 to $3,000 job in just one day doing that. Okay, sometimes you might do more than that. It just depends on it's like matching the equipment with the job. You'll learn that. Okay. Now, down here at the other end of the spectrum, you've got a truck, a dump trailer, some kind of a lift. We used the bucket truck, and then a crane. And the reason I put down 4, that does not mean it has to be you and then 3 employees. Okay, this right here could be you and 1, and then the crane service would provide 2 workers, because by regulation there's got to be a certified crane operator, and then there has to be a certified crane rigger and signalman. Okay, so he's like the all-in-one guy. He's telling the crane operator what to do. He's making sure it's clear. He's giving the hand signals, all of that stuff. So, depending on the size of the crane, okay, like, I've done more than, well, I'll get into that, because that's confusing on how I did mine whenever I had to hire a crane. Okay, because I don't have one. I just have to hire an outside service, and that can be the key to you. You don't have to go out there and buy a crane. These things are just insanely expensive to keep up, because if you go out and you buy a super old crane, okay, you have to hope that it can pass inspection, because you've got to have a safety annual inspection for that. Okay, and that may be anywhere from $500 to get that inspection sticker, where you just put that inside your truck, or it could be like, depending on the size of the crane, it could be $1,000, $2,000. Sky's the limit. It depends on the company you hire, and it depends on how much detail they go in. It depends on if they're checking torque on the bolts. It depends on how extensive the inspection is. So you've got to take into account that you've got a lot to worry about, and these cranes are going to be they're going to require CDL. So then you're going to have to keep up with your driver's license and health cards, and then you're also going to have your truck inspected as well as the crane inspected. And that's going to be some money each year. So I just choose to hire another service, and their low end is like $210 an hour, and then their higher cranes are like $500 an hour. Okay, so when dealing with cranes, you'll be into insurance work more. Now, it is extremely possible that you could start out doing insurance work from literally day one. Okay, if you're just on top of a roof. Now, guys, it is so dangerous doing tree work in general. If you haven't done this for a long time, don't just jump up there on the roof and start working. Okay, you need to make sure that you've got all your safety gear, hard hat, and safety vest. And by the time you get to a crane, you should be there should be no insurance gaps with you, really. Okay, because if you don't have like $1 million of coverage or more, you could do a lot of damage with a crane if you were to ever be held liable. So I want y'all to know this. Okay, like, I'm covered for $1 million now, and then the crane service was covered. They had a huge insurance policy because they work for natural gas and for oil companies and just all kinds of stuff in general. Okay, so these numbers, even after you've only been kind of owning your own business for a short time, these numbers are easily attainable, okay? So let's say, I'm paying $210 an hour. I want at least 100 and something an hour. It was just me and another guy, like 120 bucks an hour, because I'm the one with the responsibility to pay the crane, and so I really don't want to get into trouble. If I'm hiring a crane that's $500 an hour, I'm going to want like $300 an hour for myself, okay? I want y'all to realize that this is very easy to accomplish if you want it bad enough, okay? I have only owned my own service since the middle of last year. However, I didn't go fully out on my own to where I had my bucket truck towards the very end of last year, okay? I mean, it was very late in the year. I only worked like a few months, okay? And I didn't have a client base there. I mean, nothing was set up for me. I completely left my dad. He was very mad about this, and I still made it, okay? I didn't have to have like help there. I already, just had to go out and make this on my own, all right? I hope that this has helped. I will talk about insurance work and kind of how to do about that. Starting out, when you're here, you'll find that once you know what's going on, there is a lot of money at that rate, okay? That is huge money. And even when you get into this, to where you still don't have a lift, you'll find that there's a lot of money in just trimming from the ground and or from the roof, okay? So you have to be super careful. If you're not healthy enough to be on the roof, don't get on the roof. If you're too young, do not get up on the roof. If you're too young, I hate to even just see you out there just starting out with the chainsaw and everything. Don't ever be alone. So the only time I say that, it's okay to be alone is if you're just using little hand tools and stuff. If you're kind of just doing tree maintenance and stuff, then that's not such a big deal. But just be super cautious. Don't ever get up on the roof alone. What if you fall off, and then what if no one knows that you fell off? What if you can't call? What if you don't have a cell phone? What if you break the cell phone when you fall? It is endless, guys, of how you can get hurt doing trees, okay? So I want y'all to focus on safety all the time, all right? I hope this has helped. I will make another video soon, and just kind of let me know what topic you would like me to cover, and just leave me some comments. If you kind of like where I'm going, you can subscribe. I will try to help you as much as possible, and just let me know any questions or concerns, okay? Thank y'all once again, and I'll be back with y'all.